Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Tavern, the official Sea of Thieves podcast. We're now on episode 8. So since we've last joined you from the Tavern, we've had several videos out on YouTube, which we hope you've been able to catch. We've put out a Tavern Tunes Adventure Awaits, which some of you may recognise from our Technical Alpha loading screen. We've had a behind-the-scenes look at sword combat, and Joe told us a little bit more about how community feedback has helped to shape the game so far. So remember, you can listen to the audio of this. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're across many podcast apps, or you can watch us in 4K on YouTube. And another shout out, if you haven't joined our insider program yet and would like to do so, you can do it free with a Microsoft account at seaofthieves.com. You'll get development insights from us via email, you'll get access to a special area of the forums, and you'll be considered for taking part in our Technical Alpha. Okay, so no further ado, we'll start introducing ourselves. We'll start with Joe, as always.
I'd just like to say that was much better than John's usual intros. So congratulations.
Yeah, for people who have listened before, John is not here. He's skiing, so I'm being John this week.
It was on point.
Without the accent.
Flawless.
I was going to say, I actually wanted to sign up for the Insider
I know.
program. Listening to that. That was like,
Thank you.
I might
Thank
actually
you.
finally do it.
I didn't know it was free.
There you go. There you go. Thanks.
So I'm Joni, executive producer.
I'm Mike Chapman, design director.
I'm Emma Bridle, social media manager.
Bobby Lamarand, engagement manager.
And Christina Parker, live campaign producer.
So Bobby's with us for the first time.
Hello.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Joe thought I'd been here as well. So I don't know to take that as I'm so memorable you think I've been here, or I'm so forgettable you just don't realize that I haven't been one yet.
You were in an inside story with Joe.
I was.
Yeah. There we go.
What an inside story it was, Bobby. I think it's probably got the lowest
what was
view
it?
count.
The
of all
lowest
of the
view
videos.
count?
I can't remember what you guys were talking about.
We were talking about
Some of the
it's
best
gotta be
comments,
that,
though,
yeah.
We were talking
right?
about the Insider program, which you
Oh, there
just sold
you go.
so well.
There you go. That
Yeah,
was
some of the best
Some of the
comments.
best comments.
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Some specific tattoo
Lip
comments.
world
Yes,
tattoo.
yeah.
Looking forward to those.
That
And there was the comment on Eurogamer as well that said something like, "Of course, Microsoft has marched in an American hipster liberal into
Yeah, that
Rare."
was it.
So
Best
Like pushing a
comment.
political
I
agenda.
almost introduced myself as American hipster liberal, actually, for this
Maybe we
podcast.
could get that popping up on the screen on the video one.
Yeah, maybe. Just scratch it out or something.
Yeah.
There was a similar comment on their Let's Play video, wasn't there?
What was
About
it?
On
which
YouTube.
was-
It's like the one that the video that you were in as well, where
Yeah.
someone commented these guys are clearly liberals.
Yeah,
Was that the developer gameplay video?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Yeah,
I don't-
Clearly.
I don't
An
know.
interesting
The
political
men-
pirate crossover out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of comments about how I'm terrible at shooting. But I've not tried to say that I'm not. I'm quite honest about the
To
fact
be
that I'm
fair,
terrible.
all of you guys were pretty terrible at shooting. in
Yeah,
that
I've seen the
video.
stats. I was the worst by
Okay,
far.
in all fairness, that Joe was still pretty good, but that was only with like the blunderbuss and the flintlock
Flintlock pistol.
pistol. But we didn't report on the cannons, which I still think I was pretty good at. I'm
I'm
still going to
terrible at
hold my
those as
belief
well.
that I was pretty good at it.
But you haven't checked the stats.
But I haven't checked it.
Just
Or at
doesn't
least
want
not
to shout to the illusion.
yeah, at least
I
that.
have confidence, but not enough to check the stats.
It's been redacted, basically.
Okay, so usually we cover community things. So I think it's been about 4 weeks since our last podcast. So I spoke with Cameron, who runs our forums, to see what people have been talking about in there. The Great Biscuit Cookie Debate. We find nothing gets people quite as excited as talking about food and drink. So for
I
those of
even
you
So
think
who
contributed.
what was the Great Biscuit Cookie debate?
I haven't
I
gone into
kinda
it in
know.
depth.
The
Christina's
American
a
Yeah,
prominent lurker.
I am a professional lurker.
Yeah.
So it started with the PC email that we sent out with the PC survey, and the very last question was, which do you prefer, like biscuits or cookies? And then everyone, of course, that's such a strange question to include in such a serious technical survey. So it made its way onto the forums, and then people were commenting what their favorite cookies or biscuits or what word is appropriate. It's cookies and Girl Scout cookies.
No.
Yes, it is cookies.
We've got almost an exact split. Americans, Brits.
Everybody else.
You're the adjudicator then, Emma, seeing as you're in the
Brits
middle.
win.
Yeah. So essentially, they started counting up what the answers were with fun gifs on the forums.
When we
Not
did-
sure what we got to, but
So,
When we did it internally and I gave my answer, I was told it was wrong. Which
Of
was
your favorite
my favourite biscuit, which was Fox's milk chocolate rounds. And I
I've
got
never
called
heard
out
of that.
as being...
a
Giving
crunch
the
cream,
worst
that's what I
answer.
go
Is that a
for.
cookie in your eyes?
I don't know what that is. I've never even heard of it.
So I got in a lot of trouble, but I did a presentation one time, and I remember I told everybody I put a bunch of cookies out in the house. I brought in a lot
People
of
get quite
basically
sensitive,
biscuits, and
yeah.
I had somebody, I think it was Andrea, actually messaged me. She's like, "Just so you know, those are not cookies; those are biscuits."
Yeah.
Because apparently, like a cookie for you guys will be like a kind of
A big
homemade
kind of-
sauce,
yeah,
Yeah, with chocolate chips or something
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
it.
where it's like if it's kind of disc shaped and it's sweet. It's a cookie.
Yeah, well, because a biscuit is similar to a scone. You know, it's
a
a buttermilk.
scone.
Oh,
Similar.
It is a scone, and also, yeah, they're gross. So
What, biscuits?
I'm going
American
to
biscuits?
get like lots of negative comments. American biscuits
Are
with
so
gravy, which isn't
good.
gravy.
No,
We've
because
had
that's
this argument before.
That's a breakfast. That's biscuits and gravy. You can just have the biscuit by itself.
Does it feel like we're just teeing up Mike for another really weird food analogy, basically, for Sea of Thieves? You're like, well, it's funny you mentioned
It's
biscuits.
always
actually.
a really bored face,
It's
like screen grab.
I was actually looking forward to the time when we go beyond the bananas and we had ship's biscuits, which
I was going to be like,
Which
well,
is
you
a
know,
joke,
the
by the
voyage
way,
system
but-
is actually like a package of biscuits.
yeah, it is. Yeah, ship's biscuits, ship's cookies doesn't quite
Do you
have the same
remember?
ring.
Do you remember when we went to what ship was it we went to see in London? Not
Oh,
not
the
the Golden
Golden
Hind.
Hind.
The Golden
That
Hind.
one.
Do you remember they told us about like the biscuits you'd have on a ship? They used to get full up with weevils, and so they used to have weevil races where the biscuits would like race each other across because they were full of all these little weevils. Like absolutely amazing. What a random memory.
Cookie
But, yeah.
weevils.
There you go. That will
Yeah,
wrap
that
up the
went
biscuit
from
story.
PC survey to
That resourcefulness is
Weevil
nice.
races.
We've also welcomed 2 new deckhands. So we've got Liz LaRue and Armac with us now. So
Yeah.
that, I believe that
Woo.
brings our total to
Cool.
7.
Well,
Yeah, 7. But, no, 8.
8.
Uh-oh.
It is 8.
Because there's the original
Sorry to
5,
the
and then
person
there's
that
still
I
a gap,
forgot.
and
I
then
won't
there's 2 more.
say
Of
which one
course,
it was.
yeah, sorry.
But,
But,
yeah,
but-
they do an amazing job.
They do indeed. I was about to say exactly that. Like it's astonishing. They're awake at all hours.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
just solving everything and answering questions and like it's awesome. Right.
So
It's like
big shout out to the deckhands. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've also done a community spotlight on Dillagaff,
Yeah.
aka Dilly.
yeah.
Did you know that he has pirate wedding rings? He and his wife. Pirate wedding rings.
I may have known that. from
And
back
he
in the day.
enjoys dinosaur-shaped toast, and Cameron enjoys dinosaur-shaped turkey nuggets. So they're going to be best friends.
Probably my favorite picture that we've had actually so far on the website too, because he's got not just one,
yeah.
not 2, but 3 different snakes, in his
snakes.
picture,
Yeah,
which is
Pythons.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how you know you're serious, basically.
With a very manly
number of
beard
snakes.
and just like snakes.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
I want to know what constitutes a pirate wedding ring.
Go to the website and have a look at his
Is there an
community
image?
spotlight.
Is there an image?
There
Oh.
is indeed. You can go and check it
missed
out.
I did see someone tweet a picture of their Nintendo Switch with Snake Pass on with a snake wrapped around it, like to Sumo Digital.
That just
That's
sounds
like
hard
kind
to
of-
play.
Yeah. Right.
Sounds difficult. Yeah.
And I'm going to do a shout out to anyone who's been working on fan art. We love to see that. We showcase it every week. We've seen some cool stuff so far. So if you're working on anything, feel free to send it in.
Yeah. I'd love to see some fan art of Mike.
Yes, please.
If possible.
Yeah.
Oh, well, where's this going?
just what I want to see what comes back. Basically.
You're not going to enjoy it.
Photoshops or drawn images.
Anything goes.
yeah, exactly.
Models. Someone
It
can make
will
you out of
only
clay.
end in heartbreak.
Yeah.
Pure and utter heartbreak. Because it'll just... Oh, no. I don't even want to think about
Really?
it.
Well, I mean, if you could choose your own fan art, like if there was any element that you could have in there, is there something you would want to see?
You in
Some
the
kind
style
of
of a
mashup.
Monkey Island character.
Or
Yeah.
like in
Pixel art Mike Chapman.
It
Lionel
needs to be in the
Richie's Hello,
style,
like the
something I'd
playhead.
feel confident in hanging above a mantelpiece.
There we
That I
go.
could pose for photos with.
There we go. You heard it here. If you do fan art of Mike, he will hang it above his mantelpiece. There we go.
I will.
Looking forward to the velvet
it's on
robe and
record
smoking
now.
pipe is what I'm imagining now.
Oh, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I'd wear a smoking jacket to show it off.
Yeah, so there we go. You heard it here. We'd like to see that, please. And before we move on, has anyone seen anything in the forums they'd like to give a shout out to that I haven't mentioned?
I know everyone's looking at
This
me.
is all putting you on the spot
lurking.
because
No,
Christina's
no.
always in
I
there.
was just buying time.
Joe's
I
done
thought there was
another
a
update
really
post
good
for us.
technical alpha report in the forum.
Oh,
that I read.
yeah,
I can't
it was-
remember.
That was
yeah,
so good, yeah.
Yeah,
Falling
fascinating
off a
stuff.
little bit.
Yeah. There was actually a really interesting topic about, and I won't touch on this too much because actually in the thread they were like, don't bring attention to this too much. But there was a
Yeah.
really interesting topic around mental health.
I remember that one,
in
yeah.
the forums and about people, and just about how forums and communities is a really good place for people to come to and share kind of their feelings and get support and everything else. And that our
Yeah.
community, there's so many positive, supportive people in the community that actually a lot of people, love to come to it and speak to people and share their feelings, and they feel
Yeah.
really supported. And I just it was a thread that just kind of really brought a tear to my eye in terms of just how
Yeah.
positive and supportive everyone is in the community. And we want to, for us, we want to keep it like that forever,
Yeah.
right? And that's an aspiration for us in terms of both in the game and out of the game, a really positive experience for players as a multiplayer kind of community. So
They're all making
Yeah.
friends with each other. They all know each other. They're constantly calling each other out by name. So it's
very cool.
It's really
Yeah.
very cool.
It is. I mean, just like certainly for us on the design team, after every play test, just even that same night and then all day Sunday, just trawling through the feedback, like taking the rough with the smooth as well, and just seeing what people think. It's pretty cool to get feedback.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, actually, I was catching up on the forums today ahead of the podcast, and I know we invited quite a lot of people to play in our last technical alpha test. Yeah. But I was kind of going through looking at the recent threads, and it was just kind of feedback post after feedback post after feedback post, and it's just cool to be in that place from where I think we were kind of, we had a few people in when we first started, and we were trying to dig things up and bring it together, but we've really kind of got this wealth now of stuff of people kind of talking about the game and giving feedback. So
yeah,
awesome.
So as an insider, you've got a special section of the forums. If you're in the technical alpha, there's another section of the forums. We are reading all of it. It's taken us a while to get through, but we do see it all. So thanks for posting in there. So we had another technical alpha session recently.
We did.
We did.
Yeah.
So another, was it 23,000 invitations this time?
New, yes.
So it was 39,000 invited players on this time round. So we are adding people on at each stage. I know people are frustrated that they're not in yet, but as you can see, we're letting in more and more players each time. So hang in there.
We're at like 130,000 people in the in the insider program, and we've invited 39,000. So obviously there's quite a disparity there.
Yeah.
So there's, we've invited a lot, but there's still a lot to kind of to come through. That's my Fitbit. By sitting here and waving my arms around, I've reached my daily goal.
I was going to ask you, just did all your steps. Nice.
I might get
Maybe I'm just swinging around on the chair and done it.
You can do arm circles, that helps.
So obviously we're still, we're still going to be inviting more people in, and obviously PC is still to come, and we know there's a lot of PC players waiting, mostly patiently, for that chance, right? But we know they really want to get in. We really want to get them in, and I know Ted wants to share some kind of thoughts around that fairly soon as well. We're making really great progress internally on PC, the technical alpha was really interesting because we scaled quite dramatically in terms of going from 16,000 to 39,000 invited, and we had some challenges in terms of we had some matchmaking kind of issues and stuff based on the load of all the messages and players that were playing.
Right.
And what was ironic about that was in my technical alpha report I posted on the Friday before, I was like, hasn't it been great that since that first time we did with 1,000 people, we haven't had the issues?
He's jinxed it.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I take full responsibility for that going wrong in the playtest straight after. So.
Rob did a great post though.
Yes,
so
there is a post in the forums where we just sort of explained some stuff that happened behind the scenes. We know it was frustrating. We appreciate people sticking with us.
Bobbles 31, right?
That's right.
Yes.
He is.
So,
He is.
And I think it's really nice that not just this time, but the last time as well, when we had that outage for the thing you mentioned, Andrew Dennison, so Charlie Beatnick got on and did a similar thing.
Yeah.
And though, like you said, a lot of people are frustrated, and obviously we know it's not a great experience for people. It's their first time. They want to play. They put in a couple attempts. You just saw kind of post after post of people just saying, it's really helpful to know what's going on, appreciate the transparency. And honesty and transparency is one of those things you see a lot. With the exception of one person who I think chose the wrong word and said, I really appreciate how translucent you guys are. So I had this image of us just basically you can see right through it.
See-through, yeah.
It's kind of cool. So we get obviously the Monday following a test, like things like that. Rob gives us an update as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's kind of done the same for the community because like sometimes we don't know. Do we?
Oh,
until,
totally, yeah.
Until it kind of happens.
Well, it's like because we get the same reports. We see it like on Twitter, or we see someone asking, "Hey, this is happening." We're like, "Oh, right, I wonder what that is," and then we get the report the same day as the community does, right? Which is kind of cool.
It's really cool.
So.
Gives me a little opportunity to say, if you're playing in the technical alpha and you need support, there's links in the email that we send you, or head to the forums. So a lot of people were sending us messages on Twitter and things. The source of our support is the forums, so we can't answer everything there, but if you head to the forums, you will get someone to help. So, but did anyone play in the technical alpha?
Yep.
I did.
Everyone else is going, oh god.
This is the first one I didn't play.
Yeah, okay.
I was actually sick in bed on Saturday.
Okay, yeah, Bobby was ill.
I was playing with Mike and Craig. Did
you have a fourth?
We did, but it was just like... But basically, we were cycling through random people
people
from the
just
community who were just
dropping in,
dropping in and stuff. Yeah, but the best gamer tag I encountered was in another crew. Was a guy called Poolside Speedos, and like that was a gamer tag. I was just like, yes, brilliant.
5 foot Frodo.
5 foot Frodo was a good
Frodo
one.
was a good one.
Yeah.
Big Frodo.
There we go.
Yeah.
But
That's
there's
the same height
some
as
crackers
me.
out there. Yeah.
I'm having to sit on cushions, by the way, if you're watching the video, to be the same height as everyone else.
Yeah, we
I'm
can't shake the
literally-
table or you
No,
won't
because
go
I will fall off. My
sideways.
feet don't touch the floor. But yeah, so you guys were playing.
We had a great moment towards the end where we came across another ship and people were shouting stuff to us while role playing as pirates, which was a
amazing.
great moment.
I've been waiting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
we
seeing
returned the favour.
a lot of role playing communities sort of come to us lately, so that's really cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but we were trying to meet to play with Phil Spencer. Like that was like we'd tried to arrange that with him, but he tentatively accepted the calendar invites, which is a polite way of saying no, isn't it? But so yeah, he obviously couldn't make it that Saturday morning Redmond time. But we're hoping to get in a play session with him soon because it's actually kind of a cool way for us to reach out to kind of the Xbox boss in Redmond and have a play session with him and talk about the game and answer his questions and kind of like a bit more engaging, a better way to talk about the game.
Do it than a PowerPoint, just get in the game.
We
we'll
should do more meetings.
He does jump in by himself
Oh,
as
totally.
well.
Yeah,
so
Phil's
like,
played in a few
even
of them,
if you don't invite him, there's a chance that you might run into him on the seas.
Phil,
him and the other Xbox leadership team. I've seen them all on there.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I never come across them.
I do.
Only on the ghost ship.
I've definitely run into Phil on the ghost ship before.
Have we seen any cool stories on the forums, or did you guys have anything cool? What was new this time in the technical alpha?
Swimming underwater.
Underwater swimming was new.
Yes, underwater swimming
Reloading
and
cannons
yes,
and
finite
resources
cannons
and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think all the finite resources were new, weren't they?
They were
No,
new
we
to the
tested
scale.
finite
They'd been in the
resources
weekly.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
The-
But
I mean, for the
bananas and
weekend.
Yeah, for a
Bananas,
weekend test,
for the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was quite a lot around the resource management and all that side of things. So yeah, but yeah, I just love the swimming underwater. Like just what it gives you. It's like it's such a change of pace, a change
Whole
of
new
scene.
world opening up.
Yeah.
But then you can like swim underneath people's ships and come up the other side. While they're on the
I hadn't even
cannons and
thought
stuff.
of that.
I had
Yeah.
somebody do that to me.
Yeah.
Although it's just long enough that you get that really kind of stressful noise when you're kind of starting to run out of oxygen, right?
Yeah.
There's always just kind of like a trigger for me in playing games. It's just like I feel like panicked, like I have to get back.
Oh,
up to the
totally.
stage
Yeah,
and
that
over,
claustrophobia kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, no, I didn't play, but I have a Facebook chat thread with people who do play, and the minute it hits 7 o'clock, the first thing was, "Oh my god, you can swim underwater! It's amazing!"
yeah. I saw a few things on Reddit as well, like people just kind of speaking generally really positively about it. And I saw one guy that was like, "My story on Saturday," and he's like, "Oh, I forgot this was under NDA," and he had kind of removed the post. And I
Oh, he
got
then
over
private
to our
messaged
forums.
it to me, and it was really, really
Yeah.
long. It was really, really in depth and great. So after you've played, you can share your stories of what happened. Feel free to share them in the forums on the
There's a
subreddit.
just
guy on
not on
Reddit,
IGN Spain.
Yeah.
I forget
this place.
I forget the tag now, but there's someone on Reddit that was just posting on everyone's story going NDA breach, NDA breach, NDA breach.
I know. I was having to jump in and be like,
So,
"Oh, it's
by
okay."
the way, it's okay. You can share your
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
good feedback around the manual cannon loading.
Yes.
So obviously
Yes.
we've got some improvements incoming for that. But yeah, good to see kind of how that played
Yeah,
at
people
scale.
have quite strong feelings about it.
Because it's something people have been asking for a while, right? We've asked people
Yeah.
to kind of make it, quote, more realistic in terms of having the manual stuff. And I know you probably saw similar feedback, but one of the things coming out of Saturday was people kind of said it really slows down ship battles.
Yes.
But I think you guys have already looked at putting some changes into that
Yeah,
for
so
the next build that's going
some
out,
improvements coming into kind of the current clunkiness of it.
Current clunkiness.
Current clunkiness, yeah. So TM. So see what feedback we get following that. But obviously the vision of Sea of Thieves, the vision of Finite Cannibals being just turned it on then, just came on. The vision of Finite Cannibals and like the strategy of how crews manage that resource.
Yeah.
Want to see how the feedback we get there once we've kind of resolved the clunkiness issues. So
Yeah.
Because
kind
right
of
now
keen
it-
to look at that.
I was just gonna say, I think right now, like in terms of the feedback, it was people were saying it requires a couple different button presses to do the different pieces, and we're just kind of streamlining
Yeah,
that
yeah.
into like one or two presses,
Yeah.
right?
And just the amount you start with as well. Right? Like I'm pretty sure we are up to that.
Significantly, and made the location on the ship where we store the cannibals a lot clearer for players.
Isn't it in a red barrel as opposed to a...
It is, but yeah, we've added more red barrels.
Oh.
So there's a clear place on the ship
Okay.
now where you get your cannonballs. There's more
They
cannonballs.
explode when you shoot them.
Oh,
The red
good,
barrels.
good point.
Yeah, they're more like a rustic brown, really.
I would never try to shoot that. Then.
No. Well, that's it. You'd have it for display in your garden, but you wouldn't shoot it. That increasing the kind of amount that we start you with, increasing the frequency of finding them in the world, and then just the clunkiness of the mechanic itself. But then see how that plays. Get some feedback from the community. That'll be cool.
Speaking of feedback, what's been the sort of the hot topics this time? We've had the cannonballs. Is there anything else that we wanted to call out that we've seen?
One thing I saw that was really nice is people talking about skeleton difficulty.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's been one we've talked about over a number of the last few play sessions, where originally we put them in and they were kind of relentless, right, in terms of how often they spawned, how they came after you, kind of move some stuff back. And I think this is the first time we've seen a lot of people saying it felt like it was right in that sweet spot of being kind of just difficult enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the ship frequency of encounters, that's something
Oh, yeah.
always keep a close watch on.
Yeah.
Some great comments there around sessions varying, which is kind of what we want. Like that, the chance of coming across a ship is obviously it's an emergent chance in the world, and that differing based on your play session. But just keeping a watchful eye on. Are players going too long without seeing a ship, or is it too frequent? Is the balance of being able to cooperate with your crew, but then being interrupted by another ship? Are we going too far? So always keeping a watchful eye on that. So that's kind of the first. That and the finite resources are the kind of the first threads I jump into. Following the test.
Well, you had kind of talked about some of the changes that we'd made to ship visibility in the post you made.
Yes,
last week,
the
right?
distances and everything else. Yeah, but like when we played on the Saturday with the 39,000 kind of invites. Because at the I guess during the kind of opening parts of the session, we had the matchmaking issues and we had some players not being able to get in, and we kind of felt that in our game, didn't we? In our world, we really couldn't find any other ships, and we were like, "What's going on?" And then we were like, "Oh, there's been matchmaking issues. Oh, maybe this is why. Like they're not filling up. We're not filling up the servers as well as we should be." But then we kind of resolved it during the latter stages, and suddenly we were seeing more players and more ships.
We were saying at the start,
you could even see it. Right?
We want players to feel paranoid when they're out there adventuring, but we were paranoid for another reason. Something might not be working. What is going on there? But it's not just about it ending in a ship encounter, a ship battle. It's just seeing another ship, all the way over there, and
you want to have that choice.
Of course,
yeah.
Just feeling like the world has other players adventuring in it. That's what.
Yeah, but now because I've been playing so much Zelda, whenever I'm up in the crow's nest, I'm just clicking in right stick and wanting to zoom in. So like I'm adding my name to the list of like let's get a spyglass.
The spyglass.
I've got a question on that later. Yeah.
+1.
So it's an interesting one because obviously it's something we've talked about. We know we want to do, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of the priorities, it's there are other kind of big things to do soon. One of the things I thought might be interesting to talk with people a little bit about is with the spyglass in particular. It seems simple. It's like give me something I can kind of zoom in, but it actually presents a lot of different technical challenges, doesn't it?
Yes, and you're looking to me to explain them. Mike.
Oh, great.
I know a little bit of the technical challenges.
So we can all explain it from a layman's term, I guess. But go on.
Oh, thanks for teaming me up. Thanks for teaming me up. So obviously the value of the spyglass being able to for players to be able to see further in the world. That technically there's things we do in terms of streaming in the islands and the detail level of those islands and what technical term is kind of the level of detail or the LOD. So what will happen is if you look through a spyglass and we give you a meaningful kind of viewing distance increase, it means that it's going to kick off LODs on islands in the distance. And when you're sailing around this world, all that that should be largely invisible to you. It should feel like that island is there, but it's just at a different level of detail. But the spyglass will kick that off early. So there's we will have a spyglass.
At some point.
it's not as simple as it first appears. Yeah. So it's definitely something we want to investigate and go after. But it's not something that's immediately incoming.
Yeah, but you might be able to do like a first version of it that only has a certain amount of limited kind of zoom, which is enough to give you that feeling of being able to see stuff in a little bit more in the distance and that activity up there, and that's of minimal impact, of minimal cost, performance-wise, and everything else, and then maybe go back and revisit and do. Different versions of it or different strengths of it.
Completely. I mean, as long as there's a benefit. It's when you see a rock on the horizon, you're not quite sure it's a ship or it's something else, and that's the moment when you want to use the spyglass. But also just like if Christina was on the crew, just seeing Christina in the crow's nest using the spyglass, I can read her intent from what she's doing. I mean, there's value there as well. I know she's looking for a ship.
It kind of goes back to those role-playing communities as well, right? Yes. It's kind of an essential pirate prop that you want to use. Yeah.
Maybe just put it in without the lens in it. It's just.
Well, it was just genuine. No, but
I'm genuinely kidding. We wouldn't do that.
I'm just imagining a paper towel roll, right?
Yeah. But genuinely, this is V1. It's literally just a toilet roll, and it's just like, well, now you can play it being a pirate, but actually. The thing that kind of I guess landed in my head around that was the fact that when it was coming through in the feedback stuff that Cameron was collating on the forums, it was coming through as a request for a spyglass, right? Not a telescope, whereas most people would call it a telescope, right? But actually, people who get pirates, love pirates, and want to be a pirate in Sea of Thieves, it's a spyglass, right? That's what people call it.
I thought it was an American thing where Americans sometimes use the terms for things that make it very obvious what it is.
Like sidewalk?
Yeah, like the Michael McIntyre sidewalk. You walk on the side. Horseback riding. You ride on the back of the horse.
Horseback riding? That's not a thing?
Horse riding.
Riding.
Where else are you going to ride the horse?
It's just
On
called
the
horseback
horseback.
riding, guys.
No, sometimes American terms are like very literal.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an Americanism, spyglass.
No, but it's not. It's very much like that's what it was called, I guess, by
Okay.
stuff. So it kind of that's where I realised that what it was that people are asking for, even over and above, I guess, the mechanical nature of it. It's actually the
Part of the experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a pirate expectation for a game like Sea of Thieves.
There you go.
Speaking of pirate
I
expectations,
was hoping you were going to do that.
good segue, right?
Very good.
Greg set it up in a similar way in the video, right? The sword video that we put out. So finally, kind of our first time showing people what.
Well, our first behind the scenes video,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
A new
Expose.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I love doing that behind the scenes video, and I think it's gone down really well.
Yeah.
In terms of like showing that initial implementation, and one of the reasons for doing swords at this stage as well was around we want to set expectations for the first time people play swords. That's not all there is. And so some of the stuff that you saw on John Watkins' screen around being able to knock people back and the kind of different combos and all that kind of stuff, that won't be in our initial implementation because we just want to get in that you can hack and slash and you can use a sword, use it in all the different environments and stuff. Because we want to get that in, turn it on, and then we want to like work on the second part, then we want to work on the third part. Just because it reduces risk a little bit for us in terms of being able to turn on complex features, because when we put swords in, we change little tuny bits around player movement and around guns and like the whole interplay and everything.
It has its like there's a the vision for sword combat and how it sits within the whole combat structure, like the cannons, the guns to the swords, like the flow of combat is kind of critical. So that's that's like the last piece for combat.
Yeah, and it's just like I think it was really important for us that we sell the vision, or we talk to the vision of what we want sword combat to be, and then but let people know, hey, we're going to be bringing it in early and then building on it. It's important for us to be able to do that, and so but take feedback even at this stage of that initial implementation and make sure that what we're planning is the right plan. So
a lot of questions about John Watkins' hair care regime. Yeah.
Oh, really?
He won't tell us what products he uses. He wants it to remain a mystery.
It does have a very disciplined look, doesn't it? It's,
It's
very
impeccable.
It's got good structural integrity.
Impeccable.
I just want to kind of.
No,
I don't think you cut it out.
That's the thing.
You just like slice.
don't mess up sword combat. Let him go. Untouched.
I like the way they kind of worked in the little details as well into that video. Credit to the team. Like seeing Jamie actually doing some of the sound effects and stuff, which was quite cool. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but when sword combat was first being prototyped and they were kind of working on that big lunge, you needed a piece of feedback to know that somebody was initiating a big attack, and they just used the shit bell. Yeah, exactly.
That was playtests were amazing.
And just seeing
hear
people like
tons of
a bunch of people trying out for the first time. You have like 4-on-4. You just hear that ding, 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 ding as people are just doing the attack. So it's cool to see actual sound effects going in for that as well.
I really want to know what happened in the behind the scenes video where you see him swing that massive sword.
Yeah, and then it cuts away.
And it cuts. I'm just like and I haven't seen that staff member that was holding onto the piece of wood since or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen people standing.
just an unfortunate off the camera.
I've walked past a few times because the team that are working on swords are in the same barn. And I'll walk past sometimes and just see people holding real life swords in the corridors with no explanation.
See, we're used to that because in America people just do that with guns.
Oh.
Joking. Don't actually.
Just made everyone
Don't want to go into that route.
Such a liberal, aren't you?
You're just making it worse.
Liberal
reaffirming
hipster.
that.
Oh dear.
Here comes the Eurogamer expose.
This is the first time on the podcast.
Yeah, you would remember, right?
So do we want to talk a little bit about what everyone's been working on?
No.
Everyone goes super quiet. Do you want to start with Christina?
Oh, sure. Okay. I'm working on campaigns. And also the technical alphas, how frequently we run them, the objectives for them, who to invite for them to meet our business needs.
You really reluctantly say that each time.
I know, I do. I do.
It's me. I invite you.
It's
or not.
okay.
Yeah. This is the one to go.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But maybe. So I'm just working on campaigns, planning, I guess, a playbook of what they can look like once we go into our different phases. When we'll start implementing something similar to that. Maybe I've started planning maybe seasonal events for the long term. And the technical alphas obviously keep me very busy.
And lurking in the forums.
And lurking, always lurking.
Yeah.
I like how you I used playbook in a meeting yesterday with you to describe something, realizing not realizing it was your term.
Yeah.
I think you brought that term to rare.
Just makes me think of How I Met Your Mother.
You're welcome.
With the,
Yeah.
the
Maybe it's
playbook.
the American sports team and me. It's just like I gotta get a playbook. I gotta know what to do.
Our team is nearly 50% American now.
Your
We're
team,
working
not the
on it.
entire
No, our
development
community team.
Yeah.
Is almost
Community
50%.
team, yeah.
I count. I count. Right?
you
I'm
can blame
boosting
me,
those
yeah.
numbers.
Huh?
You're counting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the team.
Am I in your team? Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby.
Hiring Americans, I guess, from the sound of it. A lot of middle management, PowerPoints, TPS reports, KPIs.
He was getting really excited about using buzzwords earlier.
As many acronyms.
Yeah. More
Just
acronyms.
strings of acronyms.
No, in all seriousness, working with a lot of people on the community team to obviously support you guys doing what you're doing. One other cool thing we're looking at right now is looking at the Insider program, because obviously we want that, as you were saying, to be a chance for people to kind of connect with the developers and have an inside track on how we're making the game. But one of the things that I think we've seen is it's, for a lot of people, it just kind of feels like it's the staging area to get into the
gateway
technical
to,
alpha,
yeah.
right? And while certainly we want to bring more people into the technical alpha, I think we can kind of do more to deliver on some inside looks and sneak peeks and things. So I think over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at how do we kind of communicate with insiders in a slightly different way to kind of give them more exclusive insights and looks at things, maybe before they go to the general community.
Yeah. So insider stuff coming soon.
Yeah.
Even more of a reason to sign up if you haven't already.
It's free.
It is free.
That was my favorite tidbit.
I don't know why we're not saying that, just to avoid confusion. It's free. Yeah. Mike?
I like the way you skipped over yourself.
I know.
During that chase.
Oh, do it again. Do it again.
She has the power. now.
I think
She's in
the
the chat.
sad music bit from the last podcast
I
was
walked in this
probably my
morning and he's
favorite.
like giggling at his desk because
I must have missed that.
Oh, they did it. Yeah, they
You know
zoomed
when
in.
you
It had
said-
slow music.
you had sad
It's
music.
amazing.
Oh.
They added a bit from Conquer, so there's a little violin playing as I'm listing
that's-
out all
I'm
the
gonna-
things I
I'm
do.
gonna go right
So-
back.
It was
Yeah.
basically like as good as Sad Affleck, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I got this. She does Twitter, Reddit, forums. She's got 2 YouTube channels, multiple this, use, blah, blah, blah.
Violin.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a real mixture of stuff, and for the team. So we've got improvements to existing features that
Yep.
people have seen in the build. There's new features incoming, and there's also working on the progression. Progression for players in Sea of Thieves. So kind of lots of.
Which is cool. It's one that people ask about a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
What do I do with this bloody gold, basically?
well,
Yeah.
that's
we
it.
get
So
we were
and
just
$100
talking
today.
about that.
Christine and I were talking about that this afternoon.
But if you think of like there's lots of questions there, like the customization question, what do we do with the gold? But it's also inclusive of like the role that NPCs have in the game, kind of the wider kind of game lore, how players customize themselves longer term, their ship, like how all that fits together.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of great work going on at the moment. That no doubt we'll share in great detail when the time is right, but we're working on that in earnest.
Yeah, and it's how we tackle that for a game that grows and evolves over time, right?
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
a single point in time, a single
Completely.
release where everyone comes in, plays it for however many hours,
Yeah.
gets to this level, and then buggers off and plays the next game, right? Like that's not what we want to deliver.
Exactly. It's not about progression that can, cap out and there's nothing else for players to do. It
Yeah.
has to sit well and be scalable as part of us continuing to support and service this game.
Joe.
Me, so all sorts of stuff like being involved in a lot of those discussions around campaigns, around the progression stuff, and also looking at E3, which is obviously a date in the calendar that happens every year.
However many Mondays away. I've got a little countdown.
Indeed, yeah, and what was great about the E3 this year was the very first, like within Xbox, obviously there's all other teams all getting involved with E3, all the different projects, all the different stuff, and so they have a process where they have a review kind of for a few months out, and then every fortnight or every 2 weeks for our American audience.
You. Always
Yeah.
confusing.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly, that's the term
Yeah.
that confuses us.
Did you know fortnight, 14 nights? There you go. It's obvious, isn't
Oh,
it?
I didn't know that.
There you
I
go.
don't know that.
There you go.
Fact.
Mind blown. Yeah. I'm really proud of that one, by the way. I only found it out a couple months ago, and I've told about 100 people now.
Joe's
And
fact
all
of
of
the
it.
day.
Like so, so you have these regular reviews, kind of every couple of weeks leading up to it. But the very first one was on Groundhog Day, which was quite ironic because it did feel a very similar to last year in terms of the same kind of discussions and the same kind of hey, this is what we're going to do.
But didn't you say you didn't even know it was Groundhog Day?
No, I didn't. I
it's
found out
not-
the day
it's not
after.
a
But like the
thing.
thing is,
I
I would have made the joke on the call, and I didn't realise until no. I think I was on Twitter and I saw someone tweet it later, and I was like,
Missed opportunity.
Save it
Exactly.
for next year. If you're
Yeah.
lucky, it'll be on the same day.
oh, it
again.
will, yeah. But very much.
Was that another joke? No.
Well, Groundhog Day
No.
is
It didn't.
always the same.
I don't
Like,
really understand it. I've seen the film.
Okay, yeah, you've seen the film, but yeah, it's basically that. It's Groundhog Day. It's the same day.
90s film, but feels like an 80s film.
It does. It's right on the cusp, isn't it?
It's that good.
What year
It's
was
that
it
good.
out, Mike? 'Cause
Mike
Mike
will
has a
know.
special talent for knowing exactly when films came out.
I'm gonna get this wrong, and I absolutely adore this film. It is.
It's all gone
think
the audio.
it is. It's 91, I think.
I'm pretty sure it's 91.
I think it's 91.
I am actually really surprised that wasn't made in the 80s.
I know.
I thought it feels like it.
Willing to say
But isn't
Bill
it
Murray's
supposed
best
to be
film?
in like a small town where maybe they're a little bit behind?
Ghostbusters is a tough one, but I think Groundhog Day is more rewatchable.
Yeah.
Probably because
true.
I've seen Ghostbusters 1,000 times. But Groundhog Day.
You've watched all the rewatchability out of it, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I've completely rinsed it.
Yeah.
I have
Whenever
no idea what
you
we're
know Terry
talking about.
Myerson, who's like Phil's boss.
Yeah.
Whenever he mails out
95?
5 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
93. Mike, get out.
The same year as Jurassic Park.
Yeah. that's
You're not
correct.
saving yourself with other references.
The same year as Jurassic Park, that movie everyone's seen.
But yeah.
Really, 93. Well, there you go.
Don't even
Forget
remember
it.
what we were talking about.
Cred smash.
We were talking about what Joe's
E3.
doing.
Yeah. So anyway,
I know
so
where you're going with this. I love it.
yeah, no, so yeah, but like whenever, honestly, whenever Terry Myerson emails out, because you get a mail every couple of months or something like
Yeah.
about Windows kind of plans or something, and all I get in my head is when it pops in, it's like it's me, like hey, like
Ned Niedermeyer, yeah.
Ned Ryerson, yeah.
I did the whistling belly button trick at Secret
I just get a quote from Groundhog Day in my head every time I get a mail. From Terry.
I've seen it
it's me,
once,
Terry,
like 3
Terry
years ago,
Myerson,
so I have
and I'm just like, yeah.
no idea what's going on.
Because when you get a mail, you're like, Ned.
yeah.
We'll
So,
watch
yeah.
it again, Emma.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm
go
gonna
and
have to
watch
watch it
Groundhog
I
Day.
really hope people have seen this.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, it's game over.
Oh, God, I'm going to get
We're
trolled.
just
No, I
mental.
have seen this one, so I won't get trolled this time.
Have you watched The Goonies, by the way?
No.
No, don't start.
Still
tried
not.
to
Oh my gosh, Emma.
We were doing so well. This was going to be like the one
know.
where we hadn't bullied me for it. Sorry.
So, seeing
Anyway,
as
Joe.
we're being chivied along by our off-camera.
Does that happen?
And I've got
presence.
questions. Come
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking E3. We're looking at plans. We're looking at how we kind of show up and how Sea of Thieves is going to be a part of the whole
Yeah.
show. Important for us again that we were really happy with how we showed up at E3 last year. We had great playable, like really great reaction, but the video we showed with the fans playing and everything was like that was our game, right? That was us, and we want to show up in the same way this time round. And I'm not saying we're inviting the same fans into the studio to do the same thing, but just we want it. Yeah, sorry everyone. Like hopes dashed. Sorry, but. We want to show up like the same way that is Sea of Thieves and that captures that magic of people playing the game and laughing and having fun and that it's cooperative and it's a shared world and like things that are hard but things that we really believe it's the best way to show off this game. And so, like there's a lot of interesting discussions going on around that, but it's an important beat for us and for Xbox One.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a Sunday night this time, so
It is.
late night for us.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of
course
coffee.
It's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, many,
Sunday,
many
June
sugary
11th.
snacks. Yeah, so as apparently we are being told to wrap things up. First question is actually for the guys behind the camera. So it's from the Crow's Nest, Captain J. Which scallywags are the individuals on the other side of the camera recording each episode?
John.
Where did that come
Don't
from?
know if you can actually hear that. It's just John saying
This is
John.
John
basically.
very loudly. You might recognise his dulcet tones from our Technical Alpha videos previously.
Yeah.
People
Yes.
loved it. Loved
The
it.
new Morgan Freeman, somebody said.
Oh!
Of voiceovers, basically. was
But weirdly, didn't somebody also compare you
That's
to one of the
nice.
Trade Federation aliens from Star Wars Episode 1?
Yeah.
Which makes no sense.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember them having a Scottish accent, but there you go.
Yeah.
I love that.
So we have John, who some of you may
You're not
recognise his
popping in?
voice. We've got Matt, who might want to do.
I'm doing the audio.
Matt's doing the audio, and then we've got Daryl
I'm
over
the
there.
new guy.
Daryl's
the new
new,
guy.
so that's our team behind the camera.
So if that camera goes wrong, you know who to
and
blame.
Joe,
Joe,
who's
I-
just popped in to say hello.
I like that they're not on camera, but everybody's like popping in and giving us a little wave. Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole
They
team
really
of
know
people.
their stuff, these video
We should
guys.
wave on their
Shout
behalf.
out to our excellent video and audio teams. We've got a question from Ross, he's one of the hosts of the Party Chat podcast for the Xbox One
Okay,
subreddit.
yeah.
So he said, community is at the heart of this game, but what gaming communities are you members of? So,
Oh, that's a great
It is a good
question. That's a
question.
really good question.
yeah. Do you have an answer?
So I was back in the day. There was something called the Triforce.com, which was and do you know One Life Left, the podcast that comes out now?
No.
Like, do you know that? Right. So that spawned from there with Anne Scantlebury,
Yep.
Steve, and a couple of others. But
I know what you mean.
like it was a really old school forum where it was much smaller in terms of the amount of people that went there. But like there were just 3 games journalists basically
Yeah.
who were all good friends, and they used to just post a bunch of good blogs, and they created a community around themselves, and that was probably the one and only online community I've really ever been a kind of a rabid member. And it was the one where you would go and meet up online in London and like go for drinks, or someone wrote a play, and so I went to see that. I went to one of the One Life Left recordings.
Very
But
cool.
and it's kind of fun to see that within our community now, that same kind of spirit of people. And so that's
supporting each other. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just making friends from people that you only know online, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is when you call yourself a lurker on forums, there was a guy called Lurkio. That was his. Was his like tag.
You're not supposed to call him out. Lurkers are just supposed to
Yeah.
lurk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that was his name, Lurkio, and I can't even remember his real name. But
Didn't have one.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Just born in the back of the forum, basically.
Yeah.
Nameless.
yeah. But yeah.
In the early days of Xbox, I still say I am, but I was a huge Halo fan. So I used to be part of the Halo community and be one of those members who would try and connect the dots and predict what the developers were going to do next. And I just loved, like particularly the first game at that time on Xbox. Just adored the game completely. House of Mojo, which is defunct now, but that was kind of a Monkey Island point and click adventure community. But not really anything at the moment apart from like I'm not sure you could really say this is a community. I mean, it feels like it is, but kind of LFG, like still playing Minecraft most weekends and using LFG to play with people and check out the new features.
Cool. Anyone else?
Have
Have we got time for one more question?
Wow,
Yeah.
really up
Big Boss
against
John
it.
is just
We're really up against it.
just a little nod there. Okay, let's pick the best one.
Judgment call.
I
Yeah.
know,
This is
right?
tough.
You just
Yeah. Okay, we might be able to
Should I close my
ask
eyes
this.
and just...
Yeah, okay, this one's
go
from
badly.
Thomas Pope on Twitter. What other types of quests are you planning on implementing?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
This is a good one. It's
It
a
is a
great
good
one.
one.
So yes, at the moment we've got like the. You could argue like the. Well, yeah, but the what's unique about a game. So obviously, another key pirate expectation. We talked about that in terms of sword combat, but just the magic of going on a treasure hunt, like with friends or with people you've met online, and working together to get the chest. I mean that was something that we always wanted to deliver, and it was a great thing to kind of show off first in our technical alpha. But of course, that as a means of getting gold, and talked about the progression stuff. Of course, there's going to be other ways, and players ultimately won't have to play that way. There'll be other ways for players to progress in the game, and quests around different motivations. We've talked about the voyage system as being this wrapper for these quests longer term. There'll be other things that feed into that serve those player motivations. So if you want to be the explorer, you want to be other roles we'll talk about in the future, you'll be able to, sorry to be cryptic, but you'll be
I
able
was going to
to...
say,
Remaining
when your
a
best
little bit
politician's
mysterious.
evasive answer there, Mike.
Well,
that was good. I'm really
Do you
disappointed.
want to say it? You want me to say it? You want me to say it?
Make your own judgment call, Mike. That's all I'm saying. Like,
When the time is right. Seriously, do you want me to?
what one?
Begins with an M.
Oh, those are the
Like, yeah, I think talking about that as part of our future goals, for sure.
Great,
yeah.
fantastic.
There you go.
do the other one.
The reins are off. Yes, so this relates to a great post on the forum. So the idea of, like, think of pirate lore and being a merchant in the world, like merchant quests and progression around being a merchant in the world. Absolutely, we're going to go after that. And things like bounty hunting. Yes, these things will feed into the voyage system. So, and the only reason I didn't say those things, I didn't want to get into a conversation with you afterwards about it.
We're going, you two are having a
We'll
word.
still have it.
I told you to make the call. It was the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that out. But-
Okay. Are we out of time?
Yeah, we are.
we are.
Oh no!
We're-
One final thought.
Yes.
No.
Fun, Jerry Springer's fun.
The cat's out of the bag. We may as well. No, but
You were trying to do an American accent.
I did.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably
Oh, is
a
that
quote
what that was?
from-
Yeah.
Maybe. Sorry. I don't know. I think it was a hybrid of some sort. But yeah, there's a great series of posts on our forum around NPC ships and NPC ships providing other motivations for players. And I think I've skirted around this in various posts on the forum, but like the vision for Sea of Thieves has always been these different motivations and the different roles that could be in this world.
Yeah.
Like, our focus is for players to fulfill those roles. And for players to fulfill those roles through quests, and that interplay between players following their different motivations and how they meet in this shared world.
Yeah.
But there's so much potential there, and that's where we want to go deep in the future.
Rather than an NPC merchant ship.
Completely.
It's a player merchant.
Which,
right?
you know,
That's like doing a merchant.
you could invest loads of time on AI there, but it will always be predictable, and we don't want a set of strategies for AI versus a set of strategy against players, because players are going to be endlessly unpredictable, and the creativity they use within their crew and how those crews interact with the world and all these different motivations of people going after treasure, people ultimately longer term being merchants or doing other things, how those meet in the shared world, that's going to be the magic that we want to go after.
There you go. That was our final thought. So thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Mr. Springer.
Jerry.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
Jerry's one. Yeah, that was it. I was trying to think what else. So thanks for joining us. If you're listening to the audio and you'd like to see our faces, you can do on YouTube. Otherwise, if you'd like to listen to us in the car, you can grab us off podcasting apps. Remember, we release a video every Thursday on our YouTube channel, which, if you're not on, is youtube.com/Sea of Thieves for behind-the-scenes looks at what we're working on. We'll be back in probably about 4 weeks' time with another episode. In the meantime, if you've got questions, you can submit them on social media with #TavernTalk. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll do our traditional cheesy wave.
Quick wave to
this
camera.
one in the middle. Thanks, guys. Bye. That one. Bye.